Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Coming off of two legacy courses of Daytona 08 and Atlanta 08 configurations, we come to the modern Phoenix Raceway here tonight, a track. It's got an open dog leg. It's got a lot of character. And for the drivers here tonight, they've got to find the speed to stop some of the newcomers. We're excited to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer, and excitedly, I could say, we've got Richard Wolfsford joining back with us after dealing with some illness, as well as Robert Moyer Jr. feeling better after not feeling well. We're all ready for the racing action here tonight. And Richard, certainly a crazy race to come watch here tonight. The open dog leg with the Gen 4 car. This is a combo that I was never expecting to see.
Yeah, it's great to be back up here in the booth. You know, unfortunate sickness from last week, but this is going to be very interesting to watch these Gen 4 cars here at the new modern style dogleg Phoenix International Raceway. I mean, the first two races of the season we kind of figured would be what we normally see on Gen 4 cars, the two legacy tracks of Daytona and Atlanta, and exactly how those cars played out what we would normally see. This is where it's going to get interesting of how these guys are going to take that dog leg, because these cars, they do get unsettled a little easier than that what the next gen cars were. So it's going to be interesting to see who takes the dog leg and takes that chance on losing control or just stays up on the track.
And also a thing to watch out for are going to be the hard braking zones, especially heading down into turn number 3. I'm excited to see how drivers are going to slow up for that one. We've seen whenever there's a lot of change on braking zones that drivers can get into one another, make a little bit of a tap. And we've seen if you touch someone's rear bumper, you can sometimes lift them up. And I'm curious if we're going to see how contact may influence these vehicles at this course. But if you missed out on last week's race at Atlanta, it was the newcomer Jake Nichols taking the victory. We had 6 cautions at Atlanta, but it was John Forbes and Vincent Sora that were looking like the other two top drivers. They looked quick in the first 40 laps of that Atlanta race until Jake Nichols decided it was time to go. I'm curious on tonight what speed we're going to see from some of our former top dogs of the series. What are we going to find from Jared Talmadge? Also, Gavin Rogers, they've looked quick as they're currently inside of our top 3 in speed, along with Vincent Sora. Where will this pace be for themselves? Because currently, all drivers are at least 1/10 slower than Jake Nichols.
Yeah, Jake Nichols came in complete dominance in Atlanta last week, showing what his strength is and how fast he is. These guys are going to have to learn a lot from him, but the drivers throughout this field, they do learn pretty quick. And with the new Gen 4 car, these guys are all learning throughout the field. So it's going to be interesting to see who really rises to the top and who can really master this car and be able to challenge Jake Nichols if he continues to be a dominant force.
Each race, you're going to see those leaps and bounds of growth from each and every driver. As tonight we race at Phoenix, 150 laps here this evening. No stage break, no fast repairs. Fortress sets of tires in pit road to work with. And I think that's going to be the fun part also to watch out for is how with this unique style of course, as you can see in front of us, is the track map. This course is so unique on the way that you've got the dog leg right after the start-finish line. Also, the extended length of pit road. The ways that the drivers are going to have to find a little bit of speed everywhere on this course. But when taking the dog leg, that's going to tear up your tires on top of unsettling the car. Curious on how tires might be influenced here tonight. How is dirty air going to affect this car? But it's going to be a lot of searching and learning, I think, for us up at the booth, as well as for the drivers once we get to full green flag racing, as we've got 29 drivers currently registered for this race, which is less than our 31 that we had last week. But I think the lower car count could assist drivers on trying to survive here this evening.
Yeah, survival is definitely going to be the key, and lower car count means a potential for a lot less issues on track. The drivers don't have to worry about as many cars and to have to get through as much. So it could be a blessing in disguise. We'll have to find out and see what these drivers can do. But I mean, it's really, really awesome watching these cars, though. Like you were saying, the hard braking into turn 3, you can visibly see these cars, and when they get on the brake, that nose dives. So if you got someone coming up a little faster than you, not only is the front end of that car diving, it's lifting that rear end up. And if you get too close, I mean, the rear end's already lifted up a little bit more, and you're going to be able to spin them out a lot easier.
We're also here in Phoenix in the desert of Arizona. The heat has been up around 80 degrees, and the low 80s has been for most of practice. It has been starting to slow and lower down as the race has progressed on. I'm curious on, will we see the heat rise? How will that influence the track temps? But before we get to that, let's first get ready for qualifying. All drivers will be given 2 laps to put down their fastest time, 5 minutes to do so, and already some of the favorites to go for today's pole award are on track. Vincent Sora going to be one of the first drivers to try to set a tone. Also, Ali Fonseca going to be one of those drivers in the early portions to watch out for. But Vincent Sora in the 15, he is a driver that has won here plenty of times in the past. He is trying to grab another victory, which would be his 4th Phoenix win, as he has done it many a times here in the WSSR Cup Series. The question is, though, this Gen 4 car, some of the newcomers, will they stifle and stop the 15's momentum? As GT Rizzari, not the cleanest run to start a lap, he'll just duck it into that pit wall. Sadly, that lap will be counted as a invalid lap. Still have one more lap to go for GT Rizzari once he gets rolling here, but Vincent Sora, he's been quick. Gavin Rogers, the last driver that we ran here back in season 10, he was the last driver to grab the pole. We'll see how quick he's also going to find that speed. Zach Hall has won here in the past. And as well, Larry Yingling dominated this race back in season 3 with 160 laps led out of 174. We see speed from the Yingling machine, as currently pole time going to be Vincent Sora. A 26.826 is your time to beat, as only 8 drivers have set a time so far.
Yeah, fantastic lap coming in from Vincent Sora, showing, his mastery of this track. The fact that he's got 4 wins here at Phoenix, showing, he's here to take this win away as well. But John Van Leer, he's taking 2nd place right now, just behind Vincent Sora, the 26.9. As Danny Ware tops him, but we're riding around right now with Zach Hall in the number 32 machine. He's looking to see what he can do to start this race strong after his showing earlier this season.
Zach Hall trying to build on momentum for himself. Came away finishing 6th last week at Atlanta. He qualified 9th during that race and kind of was settled inside of the top 10 for all of Atlanta last week. Where will the settle be for the 32, as we're already seeing drivers searching for all the grip, trying not to lose too much momentum to the outside groove? As the 32 of Hall, lap 1, going to be coming across the line. Danny Cochran, though, his 1 lap was a 26.8603, 100ths of a second off of Vincent Sora. Zach Hall, he'll climb to 6th on the board, as all drivers trying to finish up their qualifying times here. We're 2 minutes in, and already Vincent Sora top of the board, and he continues to linger there as we wait to see where will Jake Nichols try to place himself, as that 73 is the driver to watch. His first lap for the 73 was invalidated. We'll continue to watch and see Shane Terrian. He runs across the line for 11th place for the 9.
Yeah, some great work from Shane Terrian. Again, a controller driver car. It's really interesting to see what he can do with these Gen 4s. But Jake Nichols coming across, trying to get the 2nd lap down. We'll have to see what he's able to put down. 26.880, not able, 867, and he's not able to get the pole. He will start 3rd place currently, as Gavin Rogers comes across the line with a 26.877. He'll be starting 5th place as we ride along with Brian McCann.
Not the pole just yet to see for Gavin Rogers, but Vincent Sora able to defend over Cochran as well as Nichols. Now Jake Nichols, he did qualify 3rd last week in Atlanta, so he has the speed there. Douglas Newbegin in the 77 will qualify in 8th position for now, as Brian McCann crossed the line. Going to be good enough for 7th place for the 8 machine with a 26.909 for himself. Here's going to be the 31 of Thomas Green, repping the pink machine, as Thomas Green trying to find out where will he be placed. Also, Jared Talmadge going to be out on track. The Lucky Duck Motorsports crew, there are plenty of them out there, as the flocks try to see who can grab the pole time for themselves. Last week, it was John Forbes who got the pole. Not going to be the case this go around. Will it be Green? Could it be Talmadge? Or will Vincent Sora hold strong? Is Green going to come up shy, as it's 19 1,000ths of a second off of Vincent Sora? Sora survives 1. Talmadge across the line, not even close. He'll take 8th for the 27. Vincent Sora will hold for the pole time.
Vincenzora holds for pole time, but Thomas Green, a fantastic lap from him as he comes in. He's going to be starting outside of the front row. So great starting position for a lot of these front runner drivers. It's going to be a great night and just good way to start the race off is finish or qualifying up in that top 10.
It certainly is a fantastic running as everyone instead of our top 10, keeping within a tenth of one another. We'll see how quick they can turn things around as we first have our warm-ups before we get to our featured race here this evening. Warm-up gives drivers a chance to get last bit of practice in, as well as allows us to take a deeper look of how the season's been so far, where we're going to first take a look at the point standings. Now, the point standings very close to one another. We currently have a tie for the top of the board between John Forbes and Ryan Kelly. John Forbes, obviously a driver that we know is going to be a threat to watch out for. Ryan Kelly enjoying that win at Daytona to start the season off. Around that cut line, there's still some drivers shockingly outside of our top 16. Shane Terrian's your cutoff driver, but Cedric Hunter outside looking in. Ollie Fonseca outside looking in, as well as Brian P. Johnson. Drivers that we know will be quick to watch out for, as well as, we look at drivers that are inside of our top 10. I think one of the main shockers, Matt Meir, that's 72. Not my favorite driver that I was expecting to make the top 16, but he's done a great job of just keeping himself safe, secure, and getting decent finishes at the end of the day.
And sometimes that's all that really matters. If you can keep that car clean and you stay out of trouble, and as long as you got just an inkling of speed, you can finish up within those top 10s pretty easily and consistently. And I think that's exactly what Matt Meir's doing. And him sitting up here in the 12th position, he's taking advantage of just a very consistent, clean race and getting those finishes that he deserves.
As that's our point standings so far. 2 races in, obviously everything can change very quickly, especially with the fact that we are going to be having a break, as here's our schedule so far this season. Again, you've seen Zach Hall grab the pole, John Forbes grab a pole, and our third different pole sitter this season goes to Vincent Sora with tonight's running. We've had 2 different winners of Ryan Kelly and Jake Nichols. Maybe we'll have our third different winner if possible here tonight, but after this evening at Phoenix, we will have a 2-week break before we are back December 3rd for Kansas, which upcoming, a lot of drivers are excited for it. There's supposed to be a Gen 4 update that's supposed to change a lot of factors to this machine, and I think that's the part that drivers are excited about, with the fact that this is still a very long regular season we have on how the points could change up throughout this 12-race run.
Yeah, it's kind of, a lot of drivers definitely looking forward to this update for this Gen 4 car. I think one of the biggest things they're looking forward to is the Super Speedway package. We had a lot of drivers say that anytime they got out of line to try to make a pass, it was just kind of like they hit a wall of air and they just could not go anywhere. So it's going to be a great adjustment, and it's going to be another one of those drivers got to figure out how to drive this car again after only 3 races in the season. So at least it's early. It's not in the middle of the season or right before the championship starts. So it's a great time to relearn the car and figure out what differences are from the past 3 races onto the rest of the season.
Well, looking at some of the drivers coming into this season, there was a lot of talks about some of the rookies entering into this season with Alan Elwood as he comes in with the sponsor of Elwood Designs. We want to say thank you to Elwood Designs for being the primary sponsor of Season 12 of the WSSR Cup Series. But other rookies to watch out for, of course, has been Jake Nichols, who's going to be my pick of a driver to watch out for here tonight. I got a feeling we're not going to be having a streak of different winners this season. I got a feeling this 73 is going to go back-to-back on wins. And honestly, I don't know who's going to stop him unless we're at a road course or at a mile or at a super speedway track. I think Nichols is going to win everywhere else.
Yeah, Jake Nichols is a very solid pick. I mean, he came out, just dominated Atlanta last week. We'll have to see what he can do here at Phoenix, but I'm going to have to go with Gavin Rogers. This is one of his favorite tracks. He's from the Arizona area around Phoenix, so he loves this track. He goes to this race at the end of every year. So I'm looking forward for Gavin to continue what he had last season of being the champion in that #1 machine, and he'll be able to pull off the win tonight.
I like that pick, that one machine trying to defend on, and so does Robert Moyer Jr., our producer in the background, our third man of our group. He agrees with you on the Gavin Rogers pick. At one machine, it just feels like every time you come to Phoenix, he is the favorite to watch out for. He got the pole last time we ran here in Season 10. Didn't get the win. That one ultimately went to Vincent Sora, but the one was quick during that race. As the field getting ready. We're 20 seconds away from tonight's featured race beginning here at Phoenix for the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. We also, if you want to find out more about Elwood Designs, head on over to Facebook at Elwood Designs, or on X, Elwood Designs is where you can find them there. You can also find Elwood Designs' own iRacing scheme base on simrapmarket.com. Elwood Designs has been around since 2012, trying to help out the iRacing community to help build out your racing schemes that you want to show off on iRacing. Thank you so much for Elwood Designs joining up with us. We also want to give a thank you to Lucky Duck Motorsports. They might have 2 full teams racing this season, but they do more than just bring out the best drivers. They want to help support so many good charities that are out there. Every Lucky Ducks driver is repping a charity. And if you want to go look at some of the charities that Lucky Ducks is partnered up with, well, most of them are attached to Tiltify. Go ahead on over to tiltify.com to see what charities can help that you can go help today. As we move on over to take a look at our grid here tonight, our starting grid sponsored by Lucky Duck Motorsports. Your top of the board pole sitter gonna go to the 15 of Vincent Sora. Vinny's been quick and he finally grabs his pole this season. To his outside, it's gonna be the 31 of Thomas Green. Right behind him, it's going to be the 2 of Danny Cochran and Jake Nichols. In 5th, we find the 35 of Danny Ware. Our 2 other commentators of Richard Wolfsburg as well as Robert Moyer Jr. Their pick of Gavin Rogers will be starting in 6th position. Alan Elwood will start in 7th with Jared Talmadge and Nathan. Finishing out our top 10, it's Brian McCann and Jan Van Leer.
Douglas Newbigging and Zach Hall will round out row 6 and 11th and 12th. Brian Will starting behind Douglas in the 13th position, with Ryan Kelly in the number 3 starting outside in the 14th. Joshua Knott will be rolling out 15th position, with Chris Stitz outside in 16th. Shane Tarian in the number 9, the controller driver, starting back in 17th, with Jordan Beirut in 18th. And rounding out the top 20, Cedric Hunter starting back in the 19th, and Samuel S. Garcia rounding out row 10.
Back in 21st position, it's the 99 of Ethan Smith, who also will be starting at the end of the line as he was given an L1 after excessive contact given to multiple drivers during last week's race at Atlanta. So we'll see how the 99 can march his way forward. A surprising driver deep in the field in 22nd position. It's the 67 of Larry Yingling, as well as Brian P. Johnson, who won this race all the way back in season 1. We also will start back in 24th, GT Irizarry in the 14, Ollie Fonseca in 25th. Kyle Rochelle going to be back in 26th position with Matt Meir in 27th, Chuck Sweeting in the 57 and 28th, and finishing out our 29 drivers here this evening is Ben Kinney. Again, tonight's race is going to be 150 laps, no stage break, no fast repairs. Fortress sets the tires sit with you in pit road. But Richard, tonight, survival. Who's willing to test the dog leg? I think that's going to be the big question, especially on this first start of the race and any potential restarts we have later on.
I think early in the race, a lot of people are going to take it as easy as they possibly can. We won't see, I would not expect us to see a lot of dog leg takers here at lap 1, but I think later in the race when drivers get some confidence, they'll take it down there and try to get it in as many positions as they can for any restart we have.
Well, the field is set. 29 drivers going to be out there on track, being led by Vincent Sora and Thomas Green. Inside is the 15 of Vincent Sora. He's your control vehicle as the field gets ready. It's 150 laps of green flag racing here at Phoenix, and it starts now. Already drivers going to be ducking down to the dog leg as they're fanning out to 3-4 wide, trying to maximize their speed and spacing. Sora, with a good launch, keeps the lead, but it's 2x2 as they exit turn number 2.
A very clean dog leg start for the field. Nobody's really causing any issues, fanning out like they like to see. But Vincent Sora coming around turn 3 and 4 here. He will lead lap 1 tonight here at Phoenix. And looks like Thomas Green going to go down into the dog leg as a lot of other drivers started following as well.
A couple of drivers attempting their fates, and a reason why for second place, Danny Cochran. Also going to see Thomas Green. The 31 saw Danny Cochran take it initially, lost second because of that move, attempted to fight back to get second back, didn't work out, as a couple of other drivers deeper in the field trying some big dive bomb moves down into turn number 3. And drivers are already trying to test their braking points. Can they find an advantage? And we're still seeing drivers testing the dogleg out.
Drivers, they are playing a dangerous game on that dogleg, but they feel comfortable doing it, so they're going to keep doing it, trying to gain some speed. I'm just curious how much that's going to take out of their tire wear for the later part of the run. But these guys up here still fighting to try to get the lead. Jake Nichols slowly and steady, methodically passing the guys one by one as he moves up into the second place, currently side by side with Danny Cochran as they go into turn one, still side by side.
And looks to be a little bit of trouble for Douglas Newbig, and he went down into the dogleg expecting to get a good launch off the exit of the corner, but he is driving very slow for the 77. Up front, you see that bright, full, colorful 73 machine. That is Jake Nichols working the outside groove through 3 and 4, and traditionally you don't see drivers have a maximum speed working on that outside. The 73 is just finding a little bit of extra grip up there, and it's allowing him to keep side by side with Danny Cochran. A little bit of a slide on the outside as he is trying to fight for second place. And for Vincent Sora, he's got to be loving what's in his mirror. Well, he was for a second. Too bad Jake Nichols has cleared Danny Cochran.
Jake Nichols able to clear Danny Cochran to be in position 2, right behind Vincent Sora. Now Vincent Sora's got Jake all up in his mirror. We'll see if Jake can get some speed to get around that of Vincent Sora. Sora's got a decent lead on him right now, but Jake's definitely cutting into that. Side-by-side racing behind him with Alan Elwood trying to make a pass on Gavin Rogers here. Is he able to get around the number 1 machine? Elwood making his way up through the field as well.
All the drivers, like you mentioned, Richard, just the nose digging down into the ground as they slam on the brakes going into turn number 3. And a lot of drivers almost running into one another, but for now, it's still battling for second place. Vincent Sora lingering in first, just waiting to see who's going to be the first driver to try to pounce and push the 15 further than he would like. Report for the 77, Douglas Newbig looks to be a little bit of a start and park for himself as he had to head to pit road and has parked it for the 77. So 28 drivers still run here this evening. Some of our biggest movers are those in the middle of the pack. That's going to be seen the 17 of Chris Stitz up 4 spots. Also Jared Talmadge up 3 positions. And Jake Nichols, if he gets up 1 more position, he'll be up 3 as you see the 17 of Stitz trying to find a way to move up inside of our top 10, but right now is currently in 12th.
Yeah, Stitz doing everything he can to try to slowly move his way up, trying to challenge Zach Hall right now. He wants to try to get up into that top 10 as well, make himself known that he's here to race for these top 10s. But he's been doing a really good job of late, kind of staying out of trouble and just making things work. But right now, everyone's just kind of settling in their spot, only taking moves when they feel like they can safely make a pass. But the field's starting to single file out here at Phoenix.
A little bit of single file racing, drivers going for small moves as you're currently watching the battle in the court 19th position. That's going to be the 28 of Brian D. Johnson on the outside, the 24 of Ollie Fonseca utilizing the dog leg, which keeping it between the yellow lines is where you traditionally see drivers try to consistently hit over and over again. A couple of drivers were attempting to go below that furthest yellow line to the left through the dog leg, which is very dangerous to take. Those bumps are slightly more aggressive, even though you might get rewarded with a little bit of cutting the distance. As Brian P. Johnson currently runs in 19th position, up 4 spots for himself. Fonseca up 5, as they still got a long road ahead of them to try to climb into the top 15, let alone the top 10.
Yeah, when you don't have a good qualifying position, you've got a lot of cars you've got to work your way through. And the downside about doing that is it typically adds a lot of wear onto your tires. So not only they might be making their way through the field, but they could be ruining their tires a little bit. So it's going to be a lot of strategy and a lot of patience for these guys. Save the resources they have. Pass when you can and it's safe, but don't try to work too hard to get around someone and burn those tires up too early.
As the field continues to go on, you're watching the battling. Again, this is around 18th place. And that's going to be Samuel S. Garcia, who's going to graze the wall on the outside. Brian V. Johnson, and just try to take this position as easily as he can. And Johnson looks to be the one driver that's really been able to make some passes here after the first 5 laps of this race. Really, everyone stalled out, single filing out in. Really what's helping the 28 is seeing other drivers make mistakes, but it looks like for Johnson, running about a groove higher than what everyone else was, which through 1 and 2, I think that's one of the more positions of the track that you can utilize different positions, especially in previous scans of Phoenix. You used to see drivers rip the top. Some would go as low as they can and just always searching for how can you maximize the speed off the exit of the corner.
Yeah, doing everything you can, try to find that speed. I mean, the outside line, you'll be able to get a straighter shot out of the turn, which generally helps you carry more speed down that straightaway. And that helps you get a run to try and make a move going into turn 3 here. But one thing that I'd be interested to see if we ever see this race is the guys trying to cut down underneath the yellow line, not necessarily in the dog leg, but here in turn 1 and 2 as we follow Vincent Sora. We've seen a lot of times drivers in the next gen will go underneath that yellow line, get a little bit of extra speed just because it can rotate the car just ever so slightly better. We'll have to see if they even attempt that here in the Gen 4s.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of shows the difference between real life racing and simulated racing at times. Is in real life racing, I feel like you can drive on the apron, especially through 1 and 2, a little bit more often. While on the sim side of things, that apron is almost a calling of the end of your race. It can spin you out very easily if you go too far low. That finding the line, that's what a lot of drivers are searching for. Here's the difference. It's going on for the battle for the lead. Jake Nichols, Vincent Sora, even at about 3/10. It was up to 4/10, and Nichols is starting to close the gap down. And this is where the 73 was at before. And then we found a little bit of having to cool off the tires for another rallying attack to push forward. At this current time, it's still Vincent Sora leading the way up front. There's a couple of battles, and we're starting to see the wear and tear on the tires. Drivers are getting very loose off the exit of the corner. The rear ends are just kicking out, and a lot of that battling is happening around 10th place, where we find ourselves with Jan van Leer trying his best to defend on the outside and keep Chris Stitz outside of the top 10. You also have going to be Jordan Barabee in the 22, trying to find an opening to get by the 10. But everyone is just trying to hold onto their cars the best they can while defending for the position.
Yeah, these cars are getting really squirrely. They're starting to burn these tires off a little quicker than I think they were hoping for. And you see Jan van Leer, he's going to lose those positions to Chris Stitz and Jordan. Still fighting back, trying to get in front of that 22, but he's just not able to hold it. That outside line, it seems to be burning up that resource of tires for the number 10 machine as he's lost 2 positions in the past couple of laps. So he's starting to fall back. He's got to figure out what he's doing wrong, or, if he's saving tires, that could be a thing as well, but he's definitely off pace and losing ground fast.
Hopping on board the 32 is Zach Hall, which Richard, we talked to Zach last night. He was trying to give us a little bit of notes on what to prepare for entering into this race, and a lot on how you could utilize the dog leg to find an advantage, also on how you kind of want to preserve your tires, but ultimately it's just a game of survival. And currently most of the field has done a very good job. I would say 20 laps in, with how loose some drivers have looked, they've done a fantastic job to keep it green, at least for this long into the race.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job. 20 laps is definitely a lot longer than I was honestly expecting with the Gen 4 car here at the Modern Phoenix. So drivers are definitely putting on a heck of a show, doing a really good job keeping these cars under control. But yeah, we were talking to Zach Hall, and he said, the biggest thing about these cars is, you can basically attack the entire time. And if you try to save your tires, you actually wear them out more. But I mean, Gavin Rogers, if we're running around with him, he's trying to attack right now on Alan Elwood, try to get that position back. But Gavin, he was falling back a little bit. He might have been saving tires. That might be completely different here at Phoenix when it comes to tire saving, as he's trying to make his surge back forward.
Trying to make the surge forward as all the drivers currently, biggest mover right now is going to be the 22 of Jordan Barabee, and up to 11th place for himself. Also up 11 spots, going to be Ali Fonseca in the 24. As field continues to rage on, 22 laps in, and the gap for the lead, well, there's a new contender joining into the battle between just 2. It now make it 3 as Thomas Green has rallied his way to be within a half a second of Vincent Sora, while Jake Nichols is trying to find an opening on the outside to get by the 15. I'm curious if you can hop on board with the 73 and see what the steering wheel looks like for himself, because the 73 is attempting to make the pass, and he's got to make a lot more gutsy wheelmanship to find where the opening is to get by the 15.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be driving that car very loose. I mean, driving that car on that right rear tire, which sounds very, different from you would normally here, people, but driving that car on that right rear tire, it keeps that car very loose, so you don't get a lot of steering input and burn those front tires up. And he's doing everything he can. You see a lot of counter steer coming off the turn. It's a loose feel right there. Him turning right to try to get that car to go straight means he's got a lot of speed he's carrying, but that car's wanting to drive loose, so he's got to counter steer, turn to the right to keep that car going straight.
Keep it on the limits to carry as much speed as possible as each driver attempting their best lap each and every go around. As Vincent Sora trying to keep it low to that yellow line. Nichols having a little bit of a higher approach on entry there of turn 1. As well behind them, Danny Cochran still in 4th position. Jarrett Talmadge in 5th. Alan Elwood 6th. 7th is Gavin Rogers. Danny Ware in 8th. 9th is Brian McCann. Finishing on our top 10 currently is Chris Ditz. Looking at drivers that maybe I was expecting to move up better than they have right now. 6 and 7 to Larry Yingling, still back in 24th position. And there is a wall and a gaggle of cars that are in front of this 67, the 3-time champ of the WSSR Cup Series. This is probably the lowest I have ever seen Larry be, especially on the start of a race, as he is just trying to find an opening to move forward or just trying to find a feel for this machine.
Yeah, Larry seems to be struggling just a little bit. He's pretty far back from what we normally see him running. So he might just be trying to still learn this car, figure out the ins and outs of how this car handles at this track, but he's definitely been falling back a little bit. He's trying to make a move here on GT Rosari, just not able to figure out where he can go to get these passes done. But once he figures his car out in this track, I can see him moving forward quick.
Currently watching in front of Larry Yingling, going to be the battle lane happening between Matt Muir as well as GT Rosari. That's for 22nd position. Battling going between those two drivers. Again, 28 drivers still out on track. Only one that is out of this race so far, Douglas Newbigging in the 77. Vincent Sora has now climbed and made that lead up to over half a second as Irizarry gets by Matt Muir, who just seemed to lose just one corner and one mistake. I think that's going to be the thing that hurts a lot of drivers. If you're in the middle of this field or even in the back of the pack, with how close everyone is, one mistake may not just lose you one position or just a little bit of time. You could be in threats of losing more than one spot like Matt Muir is currently.
Yeah, on a huge wreck in turn 1.
Oh my goodness. 3 drivers all involved. It's the 00 of Brian Noel, Cedric Hunter, and Joshua Kanata all involved in this one, as the 00 doesn't even have a front right wheel, somehow gets into pit road.
Wow, massive wreck in turn 1 there, involving quite a few drivers. Early crash, a lot longer than we were expecting to see these guys, but it'd be interesting to see what really caused this.
This one is going to be a bizarre one because it's going to be starting with Cedric Hunter. And I've got a feeling this was a mechanical error. It might have been a VR issue, because watch out for the 13. I'm not expecting this contact coming out of the dog leg. With the way that Cedric kind of puts himself in the wall, that looks like his screen went black. Thought he was still in the wall, slowed right in front of the 00, and then Joshua Kanata had already picked his lane, and a hard contact for him late in that wreck.
Yeah, that definitely looked like that was a hardware issue on his side with his computer, his VR, or his screen. That's a black screen situation right there. And yeah, when you think you're up against the wall and you try slowing down, nobody's really expecting you to be that slow in the middle of the track. So unfortunate for those drivers that were kind of involved. Is right around with Joshua Kanata. See what he kind of saw here. They're already wrecking in front of him. Oh, there it is right there. He just already committed to that outside lane, really had nowhere else to go.
Oh, absolutely not. And with these vehicles, especially through turns 1, when you pick inside or outside, you're stuck to that lane. It is very difficult to make a quick change without just wrecking yourself even more. And Kanata's going to take a bad run there. And here's what the hands look like for Cedric Hunter through the dog leg. And just throws it out there. He still thinks he's in the wall, still thinks he's there. The reason why he points it straight is that if he keeps throwing it into the wall, it's going to cause more damage. But if you keep your wheel straight while in the wall, it won't grind as much. And just awful wreck to see. 30 laps in, and that will be our first caution of the day. With having multiple drivers involved, Brian Noel's day is over. So that's 2 Lucky Duck drivers out. Brian, going to be seeing Joshua Kanata, he will try to get as much damage repaired as he can. Same for Cedric Hunter. Looks like both the 16 and 13 are out there on track. That also will assist the two of Danny Cochran, who had to spend a long time in pit road. So 2 drivers out, 27 on the lead lap as we're about to go green.
Yeah, really quick caution laps here. The entire field came down, took fresh tires and gas. So everyone out there on some fresh tires, this is where you're going to be able to make your moves. You're going to have the grip and the fresh rubber to be able to make moves. So we'll have to see who decides to use this and tries to get through the field. As Larry Yingling, a huge move for him from the pit road.
As drivers, 4 tires for everyone, 2 tires for the 67. We'll see how well that will enable Larry Yingling to make these passes. Can he defend? Let's find out. Side by side, Nichols, Sora, green flag is back out in the air for the all-tire field here at Phoenix. As a great launch for the 15. Thomas Green's going to do everything in his power to try to move up into second place as everyone fans out down into turn number 1. After the dog leg, and it's still Vincent Sora leading the way, but Nichols trying to utilize his fresh rubber to maximize his speed on the outside. Was trying to get to the outside quarter panel, but just couldn't get there.
Oh, and they're wrecking on the backstretch there with GT Irizarry and the number 50 machine as well. Massive wreck on the backstretch involving quite a few drivers. Brian P. Johnson also involved, bumpers all over the track. GT Irizarry again, or just a front bumper gone out of that car.
Gone, and it looks to be was lifted. Contact between the 50 and the 14 was what started this whole entire wreck. Over about 5 drivers involved. There's the spin. Danny Cochran gonna get a quick glimpse. Brian P. Johnson involved. Garcia, GT Irizarry. I believe Joshua Kanata also might have gotten a small glimpse of this one as we take another look at it. Samuel S. Garcia, he was trying his best to get off the exit of the corner as well as he could, but just drivers ahead of him not going as quick as he was hoping for after Irizarry getting into Brian McCann there. It slows the 14 down, not for the best exit, and his contact lifts the 14, spins them around, and away they go.
Yeah, and that is a narrow straightaway with walls on both sides of the track as well. And that's what we were talking about earlier, is just getting underneath that rear bumper of someone. You can't really push these cars when you're not on the super speedway, because those cars are just, these cars, the nose is just a narrow wedge and it fits right underneath that rear bumper, lifts those rear tires off the track and just turns the car, and that's exactly what we saw there. So unfortunate. Garcia had a fantastic run off the turn, gets into Irizarry, spins across the field, and just involves some other innocent drivers.
Now, those other drivers also involved. Ethan Smith getting a little bit more damage. This also gives time for Joshua Kanata, Cedric Hunter to get more damage repair, and for Danny Cochran, obviously a good start to this race. He qualified in 3rd. But with him staying in pit road longer than expected on that first pit stop, put him near that wreck. He has to deal with even more damage for himself. The field gets making the decision. You want to pit here and maybe top off for some, and that will be the call for the 12 of Kyle Rochelle. Nobody else going to be taking that opportunity, as we are about to get that 1 to go indicator. Now, Richard, you've had 2 quick cautions now. Are you expecting drivers to maybe settle down here? Are we expecting that same, well, we got to make the pushes now because we saw how that long green flag run went?
Well, I mean, that's the thing with quick cautions, and cautions breed cautions. It's very possible these drivers are going to try to make the moves they want to try and move up through the field quick. You know, a quick caution brings out, you get to keep the position. So I have a feeling we're going to see some more aggressive moves from the drivers, which could cause another caution to come out.
Who is willing to take the gamble as pace car pulls off the track? Over half of the track we got to pace before you get to go green. All this time thinking about when you want to go, who on the inside is going to take the dog leg. Can you trust the driver below you is also going to go maybe a little bit further down the dog leg, so maybe you could take an attempt if you're on the outside. Things to question, things to wonder, but up front, it's Vincent Sora entering the restart zone, and we are green once again as the field across the start-finish line now scattered to the inside. Multiple drivers trying to utilize that cutting of the distance. It works out for Sora, but the battle for second is right back on as Nichols not as good as a launch as he did the previous restart. He's got to battle now for second place.
Yeah, Jake Nichols is going to have to battle Thomas Green there for second place. Green on the inside. He's challenging, trying to get around him and get control of that second position. But Jake Nichols working hard on that outside is still going to be side by side. Green's going to cut down into the dogleg, try to get fully in front of Jake Nichols. And he's going to be able to do it going into turn one here, as Elwood is going to follow on the inside as well, and he's going to be able to clear Jake Nichols. Jake Nichols back to P3, but he's got a great run off the turn down to this backstretch. We'll see if he tries to make a move here into turn three, and no, it will just sit, and he will figure out and try to defend, but no, Alan Elwood on the inside trying to challenge Jake Nichols for that third position.
Thomas Green in the 31 is just throwing haymakers right now. He is trying to find any opportunity to go for the lead position, as Alan Elwood will take the fastest lap of the day so far for the 5 machine, as he is trying to find a way to stay stable. Will get by Jake Nichols for third place. The 5 emerging as a driver to watch out for now. And a little bit of a scare just 2 laps ago through the dogleg. Got very squirrely for the 5 machine. But since that moment, he has looked the most stable out of anyone. Watch out for Elwood. That's the second fastest lap of the day, back to back.
He is burning those tires down. He's trying to get up through this field, and he is just driving as if there's nothing left of this race. So I don't know if he is intentionally trying to burn these tires up or if he's figured something out with how the tires wear out, but he is working that car, trying to challenge for second place. Looks to go below Thomas Green. Didn't have enough run, as he's going to fall back in line as they go into turn one. Still behind Thomas Green. We'll see if he gets a run to try to make a pass.
Starting to see some of those names that we're so used to seeing instead of our top 10, top 5 now merging into the top 10 here this evening. But trouble for a driver further on back. The 24 Vale Fonseca, a bad exit out of turn number 2. Jostles the 24 back deeper in the field. He was battling for 10th place. Now going to be back in 18th position around a lot of 3-wide racing, as drivers got to be careful in this moment in time. As the 22 of Jordan, that's going to be Barabee. I don't think that 22 has a front bumper. He is just puttering around trying to survive with a very wounded machine, and even more wounded as he slams the outside wall.
Slams that outside wall, no bumper. He's got very little front downforce on that car, so he's got no grip to be able to turn. But he's out there putting laps down. He's not giving up the race yet. He's hoping for some more cautions to get the rest of that car fixed up, but he's keeping that car alive as much as possible. But if he keeps hitting that wall, he's just going to cause more damage and cause him to stay in pits even longer. So he's got to be a little careful, but at the same time, he's got to do his best to stay on the lead lap. When he smacks the wall again, huge hit coming out of turn 2.
He's got to have some wheel damage. I mean, it looks very nasty for himself. And I went back and checked out what happened. The contact that forced Ali Fonseca to lose over 5 positions actually was with the 22 of Barabee, and that is exactly why he lost the front clip. But every time he slammed the wall, it has just been getting worse and worse on the handling for the 22. He's got to find a way to slow down and stop putting as much pressure on the outside, which is already hurting him. He's fallen to 23rd position, being challenged by Ben Kinney. As we move up deeper up into the top 10, here's the battling happening for 8th place is Danny Ware in the 35, trying to hold back Ryan Kelly in the 3.
Yeah, Ryan Kelly, another strong driver, especially when it comes to tire wear tracks and at a long run pace. But he's starting to fall back a little bit. This Danny Ware doing a really good job getting that gap between him and Ryan Kelly. He's going to start challenging for Chris Stitz. Chris Stitz, impressive run for him right now, sitting there in the 7th position, looking right behind Gavin Rogers. He's going to look to the outside of Rogers also, and we got a challenge for 2nd place as Elwood to the outside of Thomas Green. He's going to take 2nd away.
Alan Elwood, where was this speed in that first run as he closes the gap in on the entry of turn 3? But you got to think, I mean, we were talking about those first couple of laps on fresh rubber, how fast they were. He was setting the tone early. Thought maybe the tire wear was going to just fall off of the 5 machine. Well, currently he still has the pace to challenge even Vincent Sora at this time, as Elwood Designs as a whole team also performing very well. You've got Alan Elwood currently here in 2nd place. You also have the 35 machine of Danny Ware in 8th and Shane Terry in 10th. They are cruising right now for the trio, as Elwood trying to find just a little bit of a glimpse to get to a quarter panel here to figure out a way to get by Vincent Sora, who currently has led every lap so far here tonight.
Vincent Sora is doing a very dominant run tonight. Every lap led along with the pole position. He's doing a great job maintaining this lead, but he is under major pressure from that of Elwood. Gets a little squirrely out of 2 there. He is definitely driving that car to the ragged edge there. You saw him get a little sideways and got her back under control, but loses quite a bit of ground to Vincent Sora. He's got to regather his thoughts and get that car back in running order, trying to get that speed back to catch back up to Sora and make a challenge for that lead.
I mean, one right there. Congrats to Elwood for surviving that big wiggle, but also got to give kudos to Thomas Green for not just absolutely running over the 5 and making that looseness look even worse. As Vincent Sora, much slower. I'm watching the entry points of turn 3. Sora's slowing down a little bit sooner than everyone else. He's accelerating sooner off the exit of the corner. I think that's what's been helping him a lot. While everyone else just try and carry so much more speed on entry, that's kind of hurting their center off runs. And for the 5, Valen Elwood, he's starting to feel that pressure now of the rear ends just no longer holding up as well as they were in those first 10 laps of this run.
Yeah, I think he's starting to burn off those rear tires a little bit too much. You can tell in these turns, coming off the turns, when he tries to get back in the gas, it wants to step out on him. He gets a little loose. The back end starts wiggling all around, and he just loses a lot of speed because of that. But he's got a huge entrance here in the turns. Vincent Sora usually able to get on the gas a little bit better. He's going to pull away a little bit from that of Elwood, but Elwood doing a really good job keeping up with Sora. Did not expect to see this tonight. Elwood challenging Sora right up on the bumper, trying to go for that lead.
Now we got to be careful though. We're starting to get into that range where we had our first caution of the day, when drivers were starting to feel the looseness a little bit more. Felt like they were ice skating more than racing this car. As currently I've been watching a lot of drivers, especially off the exit of turn number 2, just wiggling off the exit of the wall, trying to stay off the wall at times. And this is going to be a point to continue to watch out for, as Elwood taking a couple of laps to calm down as he's going to try to ramp things up moving forward. But we fall back to some other battles that are happening on course. Ryan Kelly has been able to get by Danny Ware to move up into 8th position. Ware starting to follow the clutches of his teammate from Elwood Designs, Shane Terrian, as well is starting to emerge, try to crack back into the top 10. The 8 of Brian McCann has been looking very good on the long run. He was actually going to be one of my drivers I was going to point out in the first 20 laps of this race. He was slowly starting to catch up and running very similar lap times to our leaders. Watch out for this 8 machine as this run progresses on.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job moving up through this field. Brian McCann, I mean, he's lost 2 positions so far from his starting position, but he's made his way back up through the field from falling back a bit. So he's doing a really good job maintaining these tires. He's got Shane Terrian in his sights right now. He's just waiting for the right moment to make a move. He's going to look low, try to get his nose underneath there of the number 9 machine. Not quite able to get there yet, but Brian McCann just biding his time, waiting for that perfect opportunity to get around Shane Terrian.
And as we've been having this run go on, we want to give an update as the pass to Brian McCann, trying to get underneath the 9 of Shane Terrian. Might enable Zach Hall to get by. But I do want to give an update on Larry Yingling, the one driver who decided to take 2 tires under our last pit stop. Currently has fallen all the way back to 20th position. He restarted when he took 2 tires back in 14th place, so he's only lost a handful of positions. But he is well off the pace of our leaders. I think this could be a sign for the rest of the league. 2 tires might give you track position, but you are really not able to defend for anything, especially this late into a run.
Well, I mean, he's fallen off from the leaders. He's running about a tenth slower than the leaders, but he's faster than the guys he's running around right now. So, I mean, that's one thing also. He might have just been trying to save a little bit, but who knows? These 2 tires, it could just have been a detrimental pick. He tried it. It's something he can hold in the pocket and say, hey, I'm not doing that, later in this race. It might not even be something you do with, 20, 25 laps to go. But Larry Yingling still faster than the guys that he's around, trying to make these passes and make his way back up through the field again.
As it gets by Danny Cochran as they continue to fight between one another. This is 18th, 19th, and 20th. As looked to be the 16 of Joshua Kanata. It was that yellow machine who got very loose off the exit of turn 2. And he'll continue to race on. Also going to be seeing Ben Kinney on the 98 machine running the classic M&Ms. This is kind of our throwback group. We've got the Subway machine that Greg Biffle, we've also seen many of others run with that sponsor of Joshua Kanata, but the M&Ms that are just the tease for Tiltify has been Kenny a part of the of seeing the driver of the Lucky Duck machine, Lucky Duck Motorsports team. Certainly a group that, like I said, if you want to see great charities, you can join, participate in helping out. Go check out tiltify.com on all the charities that are on site. As we move up and see the 73 machine, 74, it's going to be Matt Meir, who's currently running in that 72. As sorry, I was having Robert Warrior Jr. in my ear saying M&Ms, I love them, and that threw me off the whole entire time. He's usually muted, but he got me there, Richard.
Yeah, he was definitely in our ears talking about M&Ms. Let's ask the drivers not to run food schemes next time, because I think it's making Robert a little hungry every time he sees one. So, but no, the 72 machine of Matt Meir here doing a good job back here in the 13th position. He's still having a very solid run so far. Very sharp looking car for him as well, the Jack Daniels machine.
As Matt Meir trying to continue on his way forward. This is a race where, Phoenix is one of those tracks due to it's so much more of the drivers racing the track instead of your competition, where it can go long and green for drivers on how they have to run this race. And currently up front, there's a lot more of racing your competition. Middle of the field's a lot more of racing the racetrack, as Jake Nichols cutting the dog leg, trying to find a way to get by Thomas Green as you saw him disappear, then reappear. And it looks like for the 73, a little bit later than he did at Atlanta, but starting to emerge forward and trying to show that he's got the long run pace to be the threat. But I'm looking at the last couple of laps. I know that's with Nichols having to try to pass somebody, but Vincent Sora still setting the tone and still the fastest driver out on track.
Yeah, Vincent Sora is really showing everyone how to drive this car at this track, doing a really good job. But now Jake Nichols is clear of Thomas Green in the second place, as Alan Elwood is falling back also. We were watching him challenge for second. He's back in fifth now, being challenged by Gavin Rogers for that position. But Jake Nichols, now he's out of the traffic. He's up in second place. The only person in his sight now is that of Vincent Sora. We'll have to see if he can get his times down and catch Sora now. But Sora's just doing a really good job just extending that gap little by little. And Gavin Rogers looking to the inside of that of Alan Elwood, trying to make this pass. He knows Elwood's used up his tires a little bit, so he's just trying to bide his time and look for that perfect opportunity to get underneath Elwood and get that pass done.
A little bit of lap traffic as Ethan Smith going to be staying low. Gavin Rogers attempting to get inside of the 5 machine. Elwood gives the space. So does Rogers have the run? It doesn't look like it. The 5 holds strong for now. And the chess match back and forth. Where do you want to go? And that is the fun part of Phoenix, and the fact that they've opened up the dogleg has made it drivable for the field, is the fact that if you can find a decent run off the exit of turn number 4, you can utilize the dogleg to go for a pass, as Wellwood mistake off the exit of turn 2 gives a chance for Rogers to slice his way on by, as well for Chris Stitz to now emerge to the inside. And the 5 machine, from battling for the lead to now just trying to stay near the top 5, doesn't look to be good, as Elwood, he looks to be struggling, especially off of exit turn 2, where you just need all the momentum to keep and hold positions and also fight to take spots back.
Yeah, he did a really good job running up there, trying to challenge Vincent Sora for that lead, but he just used up that tire resource a little bit too much. He's got not a lot of control or grip in those back tires to be able to put down the power out of these turns. You can tell he's just getting loose very often, kind of like Chris Stitz there a little bit, but he just doesn't have the grip anymore to keep up with these guys that were not, using their tires as hard.
As Chris Stitz, a little bit of a blink out, he'll reappear. As Ryan Kelly gets the better launch off the exit of the corner, the 3 says, I will take that position, but can he hold it off the outside? As Stitz, will he utilize the dog leg? Not going to be the case. He'll back out from that battle and allow the 3 to drive on through. As Stitz, Kelly, how and who can get by the 5 machine? As Chris Stitz, a part of the Cody Glencock's music racing team with Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling, and also the 8 of Brian McCann, all just trying to make their way through this run, as the 3 now will make his attempt. to go for a pass here. Most of the field pretty spread out. Not a lot of action going on throughout the field here on lap 69. One driver joins the other drivers that have called it a night. Danny Cochran pulled in the pit road 5 laps ago, and he is officially done, joining Brian Noel as well as Douglas Newbigging. 70 laps, almost to halfway. And with all of this great racing, I mean, we're looking at the 3, trying to find where he can sort himself. But Richard, this has got to be difficult. I mean, these drivers have been on this set of tires for almost 40 laps. We've seen a lot of hard diving passes to the inside. Some utilize the dogleg earlier. The wear and tear is certainly getting to a point where you're seeing some drivers, if they see a driver who's going to go for a pass, they sometimes almost just give it away. While others, like we just saw there, they're willing to fight and almost throw their race away to defend.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're seeing. Alan Elwood, trying to defend that position as much as he possibly can. Jared Talmadge up here in the 3rd position. He's around Thomas Green, but Thomas Green's still putting the pressure down on him. These drivers, it is a lot to handle with these cars at this track with 40 laps of green flag racing. It's getting to a point, these drivers, it's not an area they've had yet at the race. They've had a few cautions, and they're doing a good job, though, keeping these cars straight and under control. But Jared Talmadge is doing everything he can to keep Thomas Green behind him.
Trying their best. Those are teammates, allies, and have been great friends for a long time with Thomas Green and Jared Talmadge. They certainly have a lot of experience of recognizing each other's tendencies. Not expecting there to be a wreck between those two. Nor am I expecting a wreck between these two, as Danny Ware under threat from Zach Hall, which Zach has been slowly, methodically trying to get himself into the top 10. He's been just outside this whole entire race, but as we get closer to halfway, the 32 is finally starting to see an opening, but Ware is doing a fabulous job with the runoff to turn 4, but the wiggle through the dog leg, oh boy, what a scary moment that was for both the 35 and the 32. And if they're not careful, Shane Terrian might come in and just take a 2-for-1 meal here and get by both drivers.
Yeah, Shane Terrian wants to see this fight continue to happen. He sees the small mistakes both drivers are making. Zach Hall, great heads-up driving, though. When he saw Ware get really loose, he was able to back off and stay out of him, prevent some kind of major wreck and spinning him out. But Zach Hall is definitely getting that nose closer and closer to Danny Ware, trying to let him know, like, hey, I'm here, let me by. And Hall finally able to get around him, but I don't know if he's going to have the run off the turn. Ware still at his quarter panel, but Zach Hall able to complete that pass. Great pass from Zach Hall.
Fabulous move for himself. Ware luckily able to give the space, and I think because we do race on the virtual side of things, those close battles and close passes always nerve-wracking with the underlining threat of what we call netcode, where your internet service can kind of give you an invisible bubble that can wreck someone else's car that you didn't even mean to do. And so as someone who's seen so many netcode wrecks, those type of passes are probably the scariest ones to watch, because you don't know if things are going to go wrong or if it's just going to be a clean pass.
Yeah, it is definitely a high stress and a high chance of an issue happening. But Zach Hall felt confident. He was able to keep that car still far enough. I think he was still far enough off to not really have a netcode situation, but we've seen some pretty egregious netcode situations before. So it's scary doing something like that, getting that close to another car, because you never know when the internet will hiccup and hit someone when you didn't actually hit them. So but great job for him. He was challenging as hard as he could, got around him finally. But Ryan Kelly moving up through the field, as he has got Alan Elwood in his clutches now, with Chris Stitz lurking there behind as well.
They're also starting to close up on Gavin Rogers for 5th place. All going to be single filed out as they continue to race back and forth. Side-by-side battling that's happening is the one right here. You've got the 10 of Jan Van Leer, as well as Matt Meir going back and forth for 14th position. And I said maybe his race was over with the way that he fell back, but the 67 of Larry Yingling, he took 2 tires, and he might take 2 spots. Trying to get by Matt Meir on the inside, trying to find an opening to get by Jan here, as well as seeing Ryan Kelly in the gray, number 12, working the inside groove.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job. Larry Yingling is moving his way up into the top 15, trying to get around Jan Van Leer for the 14th position, but Matt Meir sitting right there, and Kyle Rochelle also, they're looking for a chance to get around, but Larry Yingling has been slowly picking off cars one by one on this two-tire strategy that he had. He was able to just fall back a little bit and save those tires, which is impressive work. I'd be interested to see what his left side tires look like when he comes into pit.
I would be curious about that as well. Another driver that's right behind this pod, going to be the 28 of Brian P. Johnson, who was involved with earlier wrecks. But as they've single filed out, we'll go back to some of the great battling up front for sixth position as Alan Elwood, Ryan Kelly, they continue to bicker back and forth, but it comes to a loss of Gavin Rogers. He's able to pull away for the one machine.
Yeah, Gavin doing a really good job, able to take advantage of them fighting for that sixth position. He's pulling away. He's starting to get Thomas Green within his sights. He's closing that gap little by little, but we have got to be expecting some kind of pit stops here soon. I'd be curious to know what the drivers do and who's going to take 2 tires or 4 tires. But if they run this tank out, I guarantee it'll be 4 tire stop for everybody that comes in. But yeah, Gavin Rogers doing a great job catching up to Thomas Green. Thomas Green has been slightly falling back little by little, and it's just almost within the clutches of Gavin Rogers.
Yeah, and usually looking at the tires, talking about when you're going to go into the pits, when you look at the differences in time, usually at these mile courses, it's about a 1.5 to 2 seconds before drivers really start to hit pit road. Currently for Vincent Sora, he just started about a second slower than his fastest time that he's put down here tonight. And you compare that to other drivers that are closer to about a 1.5 seconds off their fastest time. So we are emerging here very quickly. Drivers hitting pit road as Thomas Green continues to try to defend over Rogers and Elwood. Rest of the field, where do you want to go? As continuing to see 83 laps in, everyone's starting to be spaced out. I think this might be our time to take our commercial break as lap traffic being put a lap down is the pink Hello Kitty machine of Cedric Hunter. But for us, well, maybe not, as Elwood just got shipped to the inside pit wall. Heavy contact for the 5. He comes to a complete stop, and that is going to be a caution. And, well, I don't know if we really need a replay, Richard. That was pretty stout on what happened there. Small mistake between lap car and lead lap driver, and Alan Elwood saying, let's get a caution out, come to a stop.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it live right there. It was a perfect camera angle to see what happened. Alan Elwood got a run off the turn and just kind of slowly got into the back of Cedric Hunter. I don't really think it was Cedric Hunter's fault by any means. I think Elwood was just expecting a little bit more of a run from Cedric. Cedric still has some damage on his car that he has to get repaired, but Alan Elwood, unfortunate to see just off the turn here as we see coming out of turn 2, has just a bit more of a run that Cedric Hunter kind of gets into the back of him. He actually looked like he was trying to miss him, but just lost control of that car, head on into that inside wall, and he just comes to a complete stop, bringing out the yellow. Huge damage for that number 5 machine. That left rear or left front tire also is just completely broke, not even moving.
Yeah, that was a hard contact. And yeah, just makes the contact, makes the bump, and sometimes when you're the driver rear-ending into the one in front of you, you're the one who actually can get shifted and out of sorts. That's exactly what happened to the 5 there to bring out our caution here tonight. As with that time into the yellow, well, I think that is the time for us to head into a commercial break as pit stop in services are being done. For most of the field, this is exactly what they wanted to see. Now they can get fuel, 4 tires, and fuel and get rolling. I don't expect anyone to take 2 tires, but we will be back for more Phoenix racing action for your WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs, Season 12, race number 3. And it is time to see who can emerge, as you won't miss a thing as we go side by side, but it certainly has been a wild one. Now, the aggression is about to ramp up. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as attempted passes for the lead have been going on in this side-by-side. Not the case of a complete pass, though, as Jake Nichols still loses in second place. Going to be Jared Talmadge in third. Going to be fourth is the number 1 machine of Gavin Rogers, and fifth is Chris Stitz. Tom Screen fell all the way down to 6th position. We'll see how that 31 wants to emerge going forward, but the battle for the lead is where we've been really keeping our eyes on most of this commercial break. Curious, Richard, on the fact of watching Jake Nichols, Vincent Sora. This battle is so interesting you can kind of sense that Nichols might have the overall faster vehicle, but Sora's defensive plays have been perfect so far.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about it there on the break there. Vincent Sora is doing a really good job at controlling this race. He's controlling how the drivers are entering the turns because he's getting such a great drive off the exit. But, I mean, Jake Nichols, he's doing exactly what he needs to do in 1 and 2. He drives the car a little hard into the outside. He gets that straighter run going down that back stretch there. And he gets underneath Vincent Sora, but what Sora's been doing, he's been cutting off the exit. But this time, he is full on the side of Vincent Sora. And Sora, I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. He will have to run the outside. He's still great defensive driving from Vincent Sora, taking away the lines from Jake Nichols. As we got a spin in the back, it is... Oh, man, it is John Van Leer on the back stretch there. Spins sideways, and he spun back around, and it brings out the yellow.
And it looks to be maybe a little bit of help from the 8 machine that spins the 10 around. They were going back and forth. Vincent Sora, Jake Nichols. I think for Nichols, he's got to be kicking this moment. It's just feeling like that was his opportunity, his first real chance to attack Vincent Sora, but stolen away because of this contact. Exit at turn number 2. The 8 gets a good run, and the 10, I mean, there's a little bit of net code there, but the way they were going at one another, I think there might have been contact incoming.
Yeah, a little bit of contact possibly, but yeah, like we were saying, a little bit of net code. We were talking about it earlier where the internets just don't kind of line up with each other, and there's contact that's made, but it's not physically made or visibly made, as you can see. He does look a little loose coming off the turn, and just a little bitty tap. I don't know, that could have been actual contact, but I think overall that was net code with how violent that spin or the spin out was. But then head on into the inside wall. We saw that a couple of times tonight already. So huge damage for Jan Van Leer. Hopefully he can get that back fixed and back out on track for himself.
Trying to get those repairs done, and he will join other drivers that have had issues here tonight. As 3 drivers officially out of this race: Danny Cochran, Brian Noel, and Douglas Newbigging. Drivers that are 1 lap down. Going to be seeing Jordan Barabee, as well as going to be GT Rosari and Ethan Smith, all dealing with being a lap down, joining Alan Elwood, who's currently 17 laps down. Vincent Sora, well, he's stuck with 4 tires. Same for Jake Nichols, but there's a new driver emerging up front. Zach Hall taking 2 tires. Matt Meir, 2-tire call. And as well, Chuck Sweeting going to be taking 2 tires. Here's our race report if you're just joining us right now. We've had 4 cautions in total here this evening. This is our first lead change of the night, as Vincent Sora has been in complete control, but Zach Hall, now our newest leader, with taking 2 tires.
Yeah, the 2-tire strategy call for Zach Hall here. He's going to see what it can do. Might have learned something from Larry Yingling. So going to see if this can work out. I just don't feel that track position is that huge here at Phoenix, but Zach Hall's going to show, probably make me eat my words here. We'll have to see what he can do. But Vincent Sora's been so strong, so dominant, and Jake Nichols been so fast. I just don't see that 2-tire working out for Zach Hall in the long run.
Well, as pace car pulls off, we want to give a quick thank you to some of our amazing sponsors. We already said thank you to Elwood Designs and Lucky Duck Motorsports. We want to say thank you to a returning sponsor from our last couple of seasons, GTR Simulators. Head on over to gtrsimulators.com. Use the promo code WSSR for 10% off on $100 or more purchase. Don't miss out on your chance to upgrade your rig and race like the pros at GTR Simulators. Into the restart zone, and Zach Hall, 2-tire call. Will that work for the 32 machine, or will he be absolutely swamped by everyone else behind him. Matt Meir also in the 72. He better be careful because he's got drivers that are 4 wide behind him. All defending for now, but he's looking loose on the outside. And Sora to the inside groove. The 15 takes the lead as they're 3 wide, battling for second place. Now going to be going down into 2 wide. Hall, I think, might have just seen why 2 tires is not the comfortable feeling you want to be in. He needs a quick caution, or at least hold position until we get a caution within the next 15 laps. That could be perfect for the 32. But Richard, Vincent Sora's back to the leading spot, but Hall is still in danger.
Yeah, Hall is just losing time here. That 2-tire stop, I mean, it's quick. You can get track position, but I just feel like we saw it just makes that car way too loose. Those right side tires have way more grip than those lefts, and it just wants to shift that car around. You can see that rear end still trying to step out from Zach Hall there. He's working that car, trying to keep it straight. But the 73, Jake Nichols, on the inside of Vincent Sora, he might be able to get the pass done, but Sora on the outside, he's going to have to run down the backstretch, but they're still going to be side by side. I don't think Vincent Sora is going to be able to defend this position. Jake Nichols might be able to get the pass done, and we'll have a new leader for this race finally.
There's a chance, but he's got to cross the line to be the leader, and across the line there, Vincent Sora was ahead by 35 hundredths of a second. He continues the lead for now as Nichols another dive bomb move, recognizing how important the lead position is. Finally going to be clear over Vincent Sora for the first time today. New leader over racing conditions. Vincent Sora has been passed, and Nichols, third different leader tonight. And what a move it was to put the 73 into the lead.
That was a great move by the 73 of Jake Nichols, finally able to get around Vincent Sora, who has dominated this entire race up to this point. And now Jake Nichols, he's got clean air. He's got nobody to worry about except those in his rear view mirror. So all he has to do is worry about hitting his marks, drive his race, and make everybody else try and make the pass around him. So he can sit here and save tires and kind of control what the field does. But Jake Nichols, another lap led, and he is now in control of this race.
You know, talking about driving your own race, here's another driver, Ollie Fonseca. Where did he emerge from? The 24 machine coming up to 40 laps to go, and Ollie is in fourth. The 24 started all the way back in 25th position, up 21 spots, our biggest mover of the day, and it wasn't because of a gamble of taking 2 tires. He took 4, and he has just saw all the mistakes of everyone taking 2 tires, those that have grabbed damage. And Ollie Fonseca points for a top 5 run if we continue staying green like this, as Zach Hall still falling backwards and now is a part of the group that he would have been a part of, as they're 3 wide, just absolutely burying against one another. Is the battle outside the top 10 for 11th.
Yeah, this battle for 11th is really heating up. These drivers racing 3 wide as if it's the last lap of the race almost, but they're doing a good job keeping out of each other and keeping these cars straight. Fantastic racing for every single one of these drivers. Brian McCann chasing down the number 9 of Shane Terrian, who's sitting in 11th. They're all looking forward to Chuck Sweeting trying to get to that top 10.
How do you just settle in? And Chuck Sweeting, another driver who started deep in the field, up 18 spots from where he started, up in that 10th place position. Congratulations on some of these drivers that have really turned their race around out of the first half to where they are at this current moment. Some good stuff as Thomas Green, who's on the flip side of seeing drivers emerging forward, is 31. He is trying to fight back on all these lost times. On that last restart, Thomas Green was back in 20th place. He's now up to 13th, doing a good job passing by the drivers that took 2 tires, but this has got to be frustrating for a driver that was at one moment battling for second and third.
Yeah, he had to have had a mistake somewhere that he dropped so far back, but he's slowly moving his way back up. He'll be able to get back up there. It's just a matter of time, and if he's got enough time to do it. But very frustrating race for him, being challenged for the lead. Back here now sitting just outside of the top 10. Unfortunate to see, but I can see him getting back up, passing these cars, get back to the top 10.
Trying to make the passing forward. Zach Hall trying to settle him in with these tires. As we were right on the back bumper of the 3 of Ryan Kelly. And Kelly, one of those drivers that was slowly making his way forward. And honestly, I think this 3 could be a top 5 finisher if he continues with just keeping the nose out of trouble and watching the competition ahead of him just overcook their tires. But the amount of time that's left in this race is starting to dwindle away. as a battle for fourth is starting to emerge. Ollie Fonseca, maybe a top 5 isn't in the cards, as he's got Gavin Rogers as well as Chris Ditz bearing down on the 24 non-sponsored machine. And Ollie Fonseca doing his best to hold spot. And if Fonseca can somehow come away with the top 5, he might want a screenshot of this vehicle, not sponsored to start the season off, and maybe we'll show something off later in the season, but might want a screenshot of this and maybe put it on a wall smack. Speaking about wall smack, head on over to trophysmack.com. Celebrate your victories and your lowlights with a trophy, belt, ring, or more at trophysmack.com. Remember to use the promo code WSSR SMACK at checkout to receive 10% off on your wall smack purchase at Trophy Smack. As the 24 defense continues, and Richard, I mean, at this point, this is the aspect of Phoenix that we've seen so far. You get into this long green flag run, these next 5 laps is a waiting game of who's protecting their tires and who's overbearing, pushing, and putting too much heat into this rubber. Yeah,
this is where it's going to really decide who's been doing what in this beginning part of the race, as Matt Muir gets a little tap from the car behind us. Brian P. Johnson, I believe, almost gets him around, but they were able to keep it going straight. Hard racing from these drivers back here in the 16th, 17th, and 18th position, with Joshua Kanata there to the inside. But yeah, we're going to have to see which drivers have been doing a good job saving. And if they've been saving, now it's just a matter of time of playing that chess game, waiting for the exact right moment to make your pass so you don't continue to burn those tires up.
Are you going to make a pass on the outside, inside, or do you follow the driver in front of you? A lot of decisions for the 28, but also in front of them. You got to hope that maybe you got decisions to maybe avoid a potential wreck. As Thomas Green, Shane Tarian, and Chuck Sweeting, the battle for 10th is now on, as it's a 3-horse battle for that position. As Chuck Sweeting will back out Tarian, Green. They continue on the overbearing positions, as well as going to be the 8 machine of Brian McCann now throwing his hat into the mixture to try to get into the top 10 here late.
Yeah, Brian McCann finally back up here running, trying to get into the top 10, getting around Chuck Sweeting now, but Chuck Sweeting still fighting hard on that outside, as Shane Tarian just got passed by Thomas Green here in turns 3 and 4. But Shane Tarian, he's going to have to concede that position. Thomas Green still moving forward, back within the top 10 for Thomas Green.
And Thomas Green, I mean, this is a fabulous late race run for yourself. You can take a lot of kudos from this run, especially with how far back he started to where he is now. This is already the spectacular get into the top 10 moments for himself, but you know that Thomas Green, there's a lot more in front of him to get by with 30 laps to go here this evening. 30 laps to go, and Jake Nichols is leading the way. It took him over 100 laps to finally get into the lead position. Took down, get some fresh rubber, couple of restarts attempts, and finally was in the motion to take the lead over Vincent Sora. But for Sora, he is still within less than a half a second to our leader. The question, though, I have to put in question, Richard, is you saw Nichols make the pass. It was a very clean pass. You defended as well as you could. You guys didn't make any contact, but a win here tonight could really set the tone for you. You saw for Vincent Sora, you lost the race last week at Atlanta between Nichols because of the bickering between the 15 and the 1 and the that and John Forbes. I'm curious on your thoughts for Vincent Sora's mindset. If he gets close enough for an attempted pass, do you just stick it and be clean, or are you going to do everything to get a win here tonight?
I mean, with the speed of Jake Nichols, I have a feeling if you can get up to him, you're going to have to get your elbows dirty just a little bit. Not necessarily spin him. Nobody wants to wreck anybody, but stick your nose underneath him, try to drive him up the track. I mean, you're going to see fenders rubbing in this racing. That's what stock car racing's all about, really. So, I mean, I think in order to get the pass done and to get it done quick, you're going to have to get your elbows dirty and get up into the side of Jake Nichols, I think.
As everyone is getting in line, maybe you've made your last passes of the night. You continue to fight. Want to look back to the Arizona native, Gavin Rogers, who still is in 5th place. And for this one machine, he was able to get the Sim Precision Prince trophy with last season's win of the WSSR Cup Series. If you'd like to go check out some of the other great products that Sim Precision Prince has, head on over to simprecisionprints.shop. And remember to go use the promo code WSSR at checkout for 10% off $50 purchases or more. But this one machine, I mean, he's now under threat from Chris Stitz. You got a sense for Gavin Rogers. I mean, we've talked to him a lot, Richard, outside of racing. Him wanting to win is everything for Gavin. But I think running in a race where it kind of feels hopeless on making passes, this has got to be the most frustrating thing for this one machine.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating because I know in his mind he's positive he could be faster than Ollie Fonseca. So just struggling to get around the 24 is definitely disheartening for himself. I know Gavin very well. So, and yeah, winning is everything to Gavin. He's so hard on himself when he doesn't win sometimes. But it's really good when you realize that you've had such a consistent run, which is how he was able to win the championship last year. So you see, keep that in mind. But Ryan McCann making the pass on Shane Terry, and here underneath, McCann moving up into the 11th position. Now his sights are set on Danny Ware in the 35. See if he can catch up and get into that top 10.
Danny Ware trying to continue pushing forward if possible, but Ryan McCann that last lap was faster than that 35 machine. Continuing to see all the different battles that are happening on track. Danny Ware trying his best to catch up. But Brian McCann, I'm looking at the last laps being ran down. And very quick, Thomas Green in front of this 35. He might be the one to watch out and try to emerge to continue moving forward. I am shocked on how quick Thomas Green is still looking. 27 laps on these tires. He started so deep in the field, but now going to be pouncing on attacking to get by Zach Hall, which hey, I want to give credit to Zach Hall. He has done a great job. This is kind of a net positive for the 32 machine on the way that he's been able to, the first couple of laps really loose, out of control, but since he's gotten more worn in on those right sides, he's settled in his 8th place, might fall back to 9th. It's been a great run for Zach Hall with the gamble he took.
Yeah, I think overall Zach Hall did make a good move. It wasn't a race-winning move, and I don't think that's exactly what was going through his head, but it's been able to keep him within the top 10 here, so it did give him some great track position for himself, and he's doing a good job. He's holding off Thomas Green right now. I don't know if he's going to try to hold him off much longer, as Green's going to try to get underneath him, but Green extremely fast on this long run. Hall will concede that position to him. Hall is just doing everything he can. I mean, he knows he's on older tires with only that 2-tire stop, but he's doing a fantastic job keeping this car in the top 10 as he falls back to 9th with Danny Ware trying to catch up to him also. But Hall, fantastic drive for a 2-tire stop.
Continuing to go back and forth, looking at those lap times. 5th back to where Thomas Green was. He ran a 28.5, 28.4 compared to Thomas Green that ran a 28.2, 2 to 3 tenths faster than some of the competitors ahead. Now they're battling side by side, and that's what's enabling this 31 to close in the gap. But Thomas Green has been consistently over the last 15 laps faster than even our leader of Jake Nichols. This 31, I think, if he didn't have the mistakes that put him so far back, could have been a threat to continue to challenge our front runners. As he has now the competition ahead, it's going to be Chris Stitz, Ryan Kelly, the next two on the list of Thomas Green to try to get by in these final 18 laps, about to be 17. And for Jake Nichols, he is running calmly. It's almost up to a full second being the difference between first and second. I think the only thing that could really snuff out Nichols' run at this moment would be a caution, which with lap traffic now emerging and drivers getting by, that was what kind of brought out one of our long green flag runs coming to an end. Was lap car getting into a lead lap driver, just the miscommunication of that closing rate. And Richard, there's always a time for a late race caution to spice things up.
Oh yeah, late race cautions can definitely make this race be completely different than what we're seeing right now. As we're definitely seeing Jake Nichols kind of walk away with this race right now, as we saw, kind of with Atlanta as well. Vince's Sora just doesn't seem to have the pace to keep up with him anymore, even to catch back up. But I mean, yeah, a caution right now. I mean, Jake Nichols, he doesn't want to see it. The only next flag he wants to see is the white flag, because once that drops, there is no more caution, and the next flag will be checkered. So Jake Nichols is hoping the next flag he sees is white, but with a lot of drivers Ollie Fonseca having a huge moment there with some lap traffic of the 22. He had to drive way down the track. So big moment for Ollie Fonseca.
Starting to see lap cars as well as lead lap drivers. The passing for position. This is the closest battle on track for position. The battling for fourth place. Ollie Fonseca, Gavin Rogers, as well as Ryan Kelly, Chris Stitz, Thomas Green. All going to be within a half a second of one another. The 22, that's going to be seeing Jordan Barabee, who's trying to find a way to get out of the way, out of any trouble of this group. That aerial shot saw the different ways they were driving through the corner. Ollie Fonseca a little bit higher than everyone else, even loose through the dog leg. This 24 is not safe, and with 14 laps to go, this is a wounded 24 machine that's got to do everything to hold back the Wolves as Gavin Rogers, great run off the exit of the corner, but he had to back out, gives Kelly a chance at the inside.
Gavin Rogers has had to back out coming off the exit of turn 2 for quite a few laps now. He gets the run on Ollie Fonseca, but Fonseca is just like not really committed to a line. Gavin tries to look outside, but Ollie slowly closes that door, kind of like a lazy block is what it somewhat seems like. So Gavin has to get out of the gas, and it just loses all the momentum, and that's why Ryan Kelly's been able to catch up to him. But Gavin is just stuck behind Ollie Fonseca, doing everything he can. He's going to dive it in, almost gets into the back of Ollie Fonseca, but he's now underneath him. Hopefully he can make this pass clean. But Thomas Green also looking under Chris Stitz, and he gets loose coming out of 4.
And it's all back in line. No passes were made. All 5 drivers with all the drama. Nothing changed. Even with all of the scares, they're still in line heading down into turn number 1. And it's interesting to see Ryan Kelly. He's trying to set up with different opportunities. He's entering a little bit higher through 1 and 2 to try to get a better exit off of turn 2. Ollie Fonseca just will not allow anyone to get to the outside. He must defend to make sure no one can get a better run than him off the exit of the corner. With 11 laps to go, Jake Nichols still looks in complete control. It's a 1-second gap between first and second and third. A lot of gaps building between there. We keep our sights on this close action. 5 drivers, 5 positions. Who can grab the speed? Because looking at the danger, Ollie Fonseca, I'm keeping an eye out on the way that he enters turn 3. It almost looks like he's kind of brake checking and like forcing Gavin Rogers to slow down way more than he wants on the entry of turn 3.
Yeah, it's what it seems like ever so slightly, but like Gavin's also, like he's trying to get around Ollie Fonseca, but he's getting huge pressure from Ryan Kelly behind him as well. You saw he had a run there trying to get around Ollie Fonseca, but then it just dies. It's like Gavin just kind of lets off. I don't know if they're just both playing this game of 4th and 5th, but Gavin just not able to get the run he needs to get around Ollie Fonseca. Fonseca doing a fantastic defensive drive here, maintaining this 4th place position for himself. A fantastic run for Fonseca.
And Gavin Rogers shipping it to the yellow line. He'll keep it low, almost to the apron. Still not able to get to the inside. He just hits a wall. I mean, every single time he gets to the center of backstretch, it's like it completely hits a parachute that packs him off. Once again, Ollie Fonseca, though, with the late mistake, gets close to that outside wall. Here's another opportunity for Gavin Rogers. He was hoping for Fonseca to block the inside maybe a little bit more, but Rogers trying to get to the outside quarter panel. Fonseca's got to defend the outside, then the inside, and Kelly, because he went so low, he lost all exit speed, and they continue to stay in line. This is excellent defensemanship by Ollie Fonseca.
It really is, and Gavin, you can see he's trying to get that outside line working to get around Fonseca, but it's just like in the middle of the turn, like you were saying, it's just like he hits a brick wall of speed, and he just loses all that momentum. His forward momentum just kind of dies. It's like right there, he gets right up to the back of Ollie Fonseca. He is gaining just a little bit. He is going to look to the inside. He ships it to the inside. He's side by side, but again, Ollie's got that outside line. He's going to have the momentum out of turn 4 and just stay in front of Gavin Rogers. This has got to be frustrating for Rogers.
And now here's going to be the next hard question. Where does Cedric Hunter go? Fonseca's going to go low. Rogers is going to go high. But with the lap car so close to the outside wall, it forces Rogers to just kill that momentum in any attempt to go to the outside groove. This gives a chance for Ryan Kelly, but he grazes the wall. That's what kills their time. And everyone's back to being spaced equally between one another. 6 laps to go for Jake Nichols and Ollie Fonseca. That mirror just gets bigger and bigger with more and more cars collected in the conga line. He is just what I would call herding the sheep. Nobody can get through. You must follow the 24. But ultimately, everyone's got a question, can they ever beat the 73? Jake Nichols still leads this run. And like I said earlier, it just seemed like Nichols was the faster car, but Vincent Sora was defending perfectly, but just could not keep defending for these final 40 laps.
Yeah, Jake Nichols finally figured out the best way to get around Vincent Sora, and he did it. He executed flawlessly as Sora is battling that car. You saw him get a little loose there in the background, but he's doing everything he can, try to get the speed back, try to catch up to Jake Nichols, because time's running out. 3 laps to go as they cross the line right there. Jake Nichols in control of this race and is looking to go back-to-back wins here in the WSSR Cup Series.
We had 3 different pole setters to start this season off with Brian Kelly, Jake Nichols, Zach Hull and John Forbes, and as well Vincent Sora grabbing a pole here tonight. We could be seeing just only 2 different winners to start season 12 off with Ryan Kelly and Jake Nichols. Nichols got the win last week at Atlanta. It took him 40 laps to take the lead, and he never looked back. Here tonight, it was the final 40 laps when he finally took the lead and never looked back. But up to the flag stand is where Nichols is going to be staring off the exit turn number 4. The question of could we keep it clean and green to finish out this race? Well, there's the flag stand, there's the white flag, and that will be your Sim Precision Shop white flag out in the air for Jake Nichols. It was certainly a night of could it be Vincent Sora getting another win here at Phoenix to grab his 4th? Well, no, it's Jake Nichols up front hitting his marks and just proving that he is going to be the driver that everyone has to beat. Nichols, 3 races, 2 wins. The rookie is the dominant starter of the season.
Great win by Jake Nichols as he takes back-to-back wins, Atlanta to Phoenix, and he will win his 2nd race here in the WSSR Cup Series. And great dominant performance by him, showing exactly how he needed to get it done. Gets around Sora and never looked back.
And also want to give a report. Aldi Fonseca holds off for 4th. Gavin Rogers got a little bit loose attempting to go for a pass. Kelly took advantage, moved up into 5th place, but Jake Nichols, Vincent Sora, Jared Talmadge going to be your top 3 of the evening. We'll talk to those top 3 when we come back for the post-race show, as Tom Screen gives a congratulational rev next to the Lucky Duck Motorsports teammate. Nichols gets to enjoy burning it down with his 2nd career win, his 2nd of the season, and he is already proving to be the favorite to watch out for. Congratulations, Jake Nichols. Will be back talking to Nichols, Sora, Talmadge for the post-race show right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Season 12, Race 3 at Phoenix is in the books. And without a shadow of a doubt, we looked at this rookie and the way that he was going to be coming in. He was going to be the favorite to watch out for. Well, he's proven it now. 2 wins, 3 races. Jake Nichols is the man to watch out for. Jake, it's Sam and Richard up in the booth. Congratulations on winning here at Phoenix. It looked like it was a grueler to finally make the pass on Vincent Sora. But man, how does it feel to get your second win of the season?
Feels great. Yeah, that was tough. I didn't think Dirty Air was going to be that bad, and obviously Vincent had a really good pace throughout the race. I think honestly his tire wear was probably an ounce better than mine, and man, I don't know, it just was so hard to do anything. Even if we felt faster short run, it was so hard to pass, and I just nailed it that last time. I think he got a little too close and it kind of pushed him a little bit in terms of giving him some dirty air, or at least just that tight feeling on exit, and it helped us clear. And this beautiful looking Lucky Ducks machine, I'm glad we could bring it home again. I was a little, not stressing necessarily, but I was a little worried because it was just so hard to do anything. And if you couldn't get the lead in the first 5, I just didn't feel like we were going to do it at all. And thankfully, with this stand up to cancer, no kid hungry Chevrolet, we could do that.
Yeah, Jake, another dominant performance. I mean, it was late race that you finally got the lead, but able to just kind of walk away from it. I mean, have you just been able to pick up this Gen 4 car, or is it something you've raced quite a bit throughout the time so far?
This specific one, not too much, to be honest. Not as much as I thought I would, but it's just high horsepower. I'm so used to, I still think like my brain is so used to high horsepower kind of cars because of, just racing so much back in the 2015 to 18 range that I'm just tuned into this more than I am, let's say, the next gen or the truck or even the Xfinity car sometimes, even though it does have horsepower. But even just the feel of that compared to this is so much different, and I think it just connects with this really good. And I don't think I win that race without clean air, though. I think without clean air, it wasn't going to be much of a battle for the win. But thankfully we got some cautions that went our way and just nailed one final restart, and that was it.
I mean, it was a beautiful pass. We kind of were watching for about 20 laps of how you were trying to methodically set up that pass. That came through perfectly. But Jake, we've seen you in so many other leagues. I know for me personally, I've watched you be very quick in so many different leagues where you're always a threat to win. I'm curious on when you joined the WSSR, what was your ultimate goal and what were you hoping to learn throughout this season for yourself?
Just, I don't know. It's just consistency. I love the points system. I'm tailored more toward points racer than just going out there and lighting the world on fire, and thankfully I've done that. Like, I've done that side of things the first 2 races outside of Daytona, but overall I'm just trying to stay consistent and kind of just keep up with this tire model a little bit. It's changed here and there, so just trying to keep up with things and keep in the back of my mind that I can go out here and just pace the field and win races.
Well, Jake, congratulations on grabbing your second win of the season. And before we let you go, for any other shout-outs, the floor is yours.
Well, we got a lot of partners on the car. I forgot Caudal Chassis last week. They're a great partner of Lucky Ducks. And obviously we got Tiltify, AmeriCares, JW Race Cars, or JWR Race Cars. We got No Kid Hungry and Stand Up to Cancer. So many. Wounded Warrior Project. So many great partners on board this Lucky Ducks machine. And I can't thank them enough for bringing me on board here. We got some great teammates. Had fun racing with them tonight, and I think we got a 1st and 3rd, which is pretty good. So great job to Jarrett and everybody else for a pretty clean race at Phoenix. I honestly didn't know what to expect tonight. This track just tends to be, chaotic and crash filled. Whether the field's good or bad, it doesn't matter. It's just we're all on top of each other typically, but thankfully we got spread out and had some pretty good racing there.
Yeah, it was great racing to watch, and congratulations, Jake, on your win here again. I know we got quite a long break until we're back for Kansas, but enjoy your little time off, and can't wait to see you back out on track December 3rd for Kansas.
Thank you, guys. See you then.
As that will be your 2-time winner this season of Jake Nichols, we head down to second place to the driver who led the first 100 laps of this race. We've got ourselves Vincent Sora with us, and Vinny, We heard it from Jake. It was certainly difficult to pass drivers. You got a little bit of a sense of it there late. But man, what was it like racing here at Phoenix with this Gen 4 car?
Yeah, it was fun. Um, yeah, man, I'm just kind of heartbroken to lead 104 laps and be out front in a field as competitive as WSR is this season, and to lose it on that little short run there to the finish just sucks, man. The car was perfect to how I wanted it all night. Clean air definitely helped, and winning the pole was a big advantage for me, and I was able to just kind of learn and figure out what the car needed early on. And yeah, like I said, it was perfect. And yeah, I don't know. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, I just didn't need a couple of those yellows there. On that one run, I pulled like 2 seconds on him, and I was for sure that was probably going to be it to the finish. And then just got that yellow, and I didn't have enough on the short run tonight to hold him off, and then got stuck in the dirty air, and I knew the race was over from there.
Yeah, Vinny, a fantastic race from you, still leading 104 laps tonight. Just a little heartbreak not being able to come home with a finish, but is this going to be one of those races that you can go back and watch again and maybe see what Jake Nichols is doing that you guys can learn from and try to be better for next week's coming?
Yeah, I mean, I think a race that would be more beneficial would be one like last week, because I mean, I feel like I was maybe a little bit better than Jake tonight, or it was a clean air. I don't know. It's so hard to tell at a track like Phoenix because it just swings so differently after each run and where you are on track. But yeah, I don't know, man. Man, it's been a long time since I've been this upset over a league race. These races over here at WSR are so competitive and so hard to get wins, and I think it's going to be even harder this season. I definitely let one get away because I just didn't have the short run speed there to hold him off. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of positives, and I'll be able to look back on it here in a couple weeks or tomorrow or whenever. But yeah, just kind of burns right now.
I know it also doesn't help the fact that we've got quite a long break before back to racing action, as we'll be back December 3rd for Kansas. But the next grouping of 3 races, Vinny, we've got Kansas, Sonoma, Darlington, quite a variety of different tracks we've got to be in front of us. But how excited are you for these upcoming 3 races once we come back to racing?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I think they're all going to be tracks that suit my driving style. And ones that I'm pretty quick at. Yeah, I've definitely got a lot to improve on if I'm going to beat Jake. I think it's going to be probably a lot of like him, me, Jarrett, Zach, a lot of us up at the front each week, and I think he's probably going to be the class of the field. So I've got to improve on a couple things, and maybe run some laps at these tracks coming up while we have this break, and hopefully be able to put a race together when we come back.
Well, we're excited to see how you're going to run, Vinny. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, just everybody in the league who showed up tonight. Still had a pretty good car count, so it's good to see. Thanks to you guys for broadcasting, all the other admins over at WSR, and all of our sponsors.
Well, that will be, you've seen the 15 of Vincent Sora coming away second here tonight. Congratulations on a top 5 finish, Vinny. Enjoy this one. Enjoy your break. We can't wait to see you back out on track at Kansas.
Thanks, guys.
As we move from second place, we go down to third, which that was the position that really moved the most. We saw a lot of diversity of drivers in third place, but ultimately it was Jared Talmadge coming away with the finish here at the end. Jared, up 5 spots from where you started. How are you feeling after coming away third? Because it seemed like you were one of the few drivers that were actually able to make passes throughout this race.
Yeah, I mean, going into the race, I would have been a little upset with third, but after kind of seeing how it drove there, I'm pretty ecstatic with third. It was really, really hard to pass, and like you said, it seemed like there was just only a very few amount of people that could actually get a pass completed and move on down the road. So I'm pretty ecstatic with P3 here.
Yeah, fantastic B3 finish. It wasn't really anything flashy either from you, but able to squeak out. What was the strategy going into tonight's race?
Well, Phoenix is one of my better tracks in iRacing, so the strategy was to run up front and then I messed up my qualifying run, and I kind of just got stuck the first couple runs there, and eventually I got clear in the third, and I mean, there wasn't much strategy after that. It's just kind of just sit behind the guy in front of you, just impossible to pass. Whoever got the lead off the restart was gonna win the race. You saw there with Jake getting it. That was a horrible race to run behind somebody, but really fun car to drive.
Well, I mean, Jarrett, we look at the ways that teams have adjusted over the offseason, with Lucky Ducks growing into a much bigger group and you tagging along with them. What is it like to be a part of a bigger team that's got so many voices that could try to teach you and try to help you become a faster driver?
Yeah, I mean, that's really the main thing is, like you said, there's so many people that, to be honest, are obviously better than me at iRacing, so I can learn off of them, tips and tricks, watch their lines, their inputs and stuff to try and get better at tracks and become a faster driver. I mean, I have over the last couple months, especially with like being on teams with John and Vinny. So, hopefully Jake looks like he's got the car down and school in the field so far. So maybe I can learn a couple things from him and hopefully end up in victory lane one of these races.
Well, we can't wait to see you continue to grow, Jarrett. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, shout out to all my teammates. Let's see, get the sponsors here. This is bad. Stand Up to Cancer. I can't see the other one. My monitor's going bad. But shout out to everybody on the team. You guys put on the broadcast. Everybody who runs WSSR. And yeah.
Well, that will be third place finisher Jarrett Talmadge. Jarrett, congratulations on third. Enjoy your time off with the holidays, and we'll see you back for Kansas in December.
Thank you.
As that will finish out our interviews here tonight. Certainly a lot of drivers feeling the pain of just how hard it was to pass people here at Phoenix. As we move on over to take a look at our unofficial results here tonight, I think with not a lot of surprise based on how fast he was during practice, and he wins out here. It's Jake Nichols, started fourth tonight and will take the victory. Vincent Sora, who led over 100 laps, will fall to second place. Jared Talmadge will come away third. Ollie Fonseca, though, I think it's probably the shining star when you look at your top 10. Coming away fourth. Great defensive moves that allowed him to keep that top 5 position. Ryan Kelly will take fifth. Gavin Rogers, he wanted that fourth place spot. It just didn't work out. Instead, he'll fall to sixth. Seventh goes to Chris Stitz. Thomas Green, emerging forward. He was outside of the top 20 on that last restart. Climbed all the way up to eighth. Zach Hall, who took the 2-tire stop and came away ninth. I mean, that is right around, I think, where he would have finished if he took tires, but that is took 4 tires on that last restart, but still a great run for the 32. And finishing out our top 10, it's the 35 of Danny Ware.
Yeah, fantastic top 10 with some very shocking drivers, especially like Ollie Fonseca. But Larry Yingling, another one of those drivers who tried the 2-tire strategy early, and it didn't seem like it paid off, but he slowly made his way back up through the field. He didn't start the race off strong, but finishing in 12th has got to be a huge leap for him. Matt Murr down there finishing in the 18th position. Brian P. Johnson finishing 15th. A couple drivers that are just shocking. Cedric Hunter, with whatever issue he had with his hardware that caused that massive wreck for that, I believe it was the first caution of the night, maybe second caution of the night. But Cedric Hunter down there in the 22nd position, unfortunate to see him. And then a couple drivers that just didn't finish the race. Douglas Newbigging, Brian Noel, and Danny Cochran and Alan Elwood, who all pretty much called it a night. So unfortunate for a lot of those drivers, but some, really shocking finishes for some drivers that, we'd like to see up there running the top 10.
Yeah, it was rough for some, but I think this is a good break to help reset some drivers' mentals. I think for Jake Nichols, he's going to do what he does. He's going to show up. He's going to be the biggest threat to win each and every race we go to besides the super speedways. Everyone else, this is your time. You've got 2 weeks, basically 3 weeks, to set up, prepare, try to get faster, try to learn as much as you can, and try to find a way to stop the 73, who has now won 2 out of the 3 first races of the season. Who's going to set up? Who's going to emerge? That's going to be the question. Kind of weird to say. We're going to be off until that December 3rd race returns. And Richard, it certainly has been a wild first 3 races of the season, but I think we're starting to already see who are the major threats to watch out for.
Yeah, it has been a wild start to this season. Fantastic racing also. This whole move from no stage racing and just from green to checkered has been honestly a breath of fresh air to see racing just constantly and no manufactured caution that we expect. So it's great to see what strategies these drivers are pulling out. It's great to see how they're attacking these tracks with these cars that iRacing has added into the service. And yeah, this 2-week break, it's going to be a great time for a lot of these drivers to maybe check out the next track. Everyone should be able to get a lot of practice in before then. And you know what? We might see some of those guys we don't normally see up front, maybe squeak their way into the top 10 themselves as well.
For those that are in the United States, I hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving break, as that's the main reason why we're going to be off the next 2 weeks, as well as I'm going to be on vacation next week. So we will be back for more coverage. 2 weeks, race 4 at Kansas is going to be our next destination. We are no longer covering on Monday night, so WSSR is our one and only race that we will be covering here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the foreseeable future. So if you want to continue watching more WSSR coverage, remember to hit that subscribe button. Also, if you're enjoying the streams, hit that like button and share as much as you can to help out the league and drivers. Thank you so much to everyone that was hanging out with us here tonight throughout the race. We also want to say thank you to the amazing sponsors of Elwood Designs, Lucky Duck Motorsports, Sim Precision Prints, GTR Simulators, and Trophy Smack for being the primary sponsors of Season 12. But for tonight, thanks for enjoying and hanging out with us on your Wednesday evening. For myself, Sam Dyer, as well as for Richard Wolsifer, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that's a part of Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for hanging out and watching some WSSR Cup Series action here from Phoenix. We'll be back in December, December 3rd, for some more racing action. The drivers head back to Mile and a Half Racing. It's going to be 2 wide. Could it be 3 wide? We'll find out as we head to Kansas for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.